This is Punk Rock and Politics, and today is August 29th, 2017, and this is episode number 35. Let's do this. These days are strange, it's true.
I would bomb the shit out of them.
If you think that punk rock doesn't mix with politics, you're wrong.
Welcome to Punk Rock and Politics. Today we'll be talking to singer and guitarist Skylar Funk from the band Trapdoor Social about his music festival called Sunstock. It's a 100% solar-powered music festival, and then we'll talk about the Trump administration's attack on the environment. Then on Open Mic's Last Call, Bannon gone, Gorka gone. With all these shakeups at the White House, what's going on? And is there an ideological riff forming? We'll talk about that at the end of the program. So, let's get to the political mosh pit, but first, here's the news of the week.
Here's what's making news.
President Trump pardons former Arizona Sheriff Joe Arpaio in a controversial move. Even some members in his own party don't approve. And here's President Trump defending his pardon.
I wonder if you could tell us what was behind your thinking for issuing a pardon for the sheriff, and as well, what do you say to your critics, even some in your own party, who say it was the wrong thing to do?
Well, a lot of people think it was the right thing to do, John. And actually, in the middle of a hurricane, even though it was a Friday evening, I assumed the ratings would be far higher than they would be normally. You know, the hurricane was just starting. And I put it out that I had pardoned, as we say, Sheriff Joe. He's done a great job for the people of Arizona. He's very strong on borders, very strong on illegal immigration. He is loved in Arizona. I thought he was treated unbelievably unfairly when they came down with their big decision to go get him right before the election voting started, as you know, and he lost in a fairly close election. He would have won the election, but they just hammered him just before the election. I thought that was a very, very unfair thing to do. When I mentioned him the other night, you saw the massive crowd we had. The people went crazy when I said, "What do you think of Sheriff Joe?" or something to that effect. The place went absolutely crazy when I was in Arizona last week. And as far as pardons are concerned, I actually did this just before the meeting because I assumed that somebody would ask me the question. I didn't know it would be you, as you can attest. You didn't even know you were going to be called. But I thought I would. And, Sheriff Joe is a great veteran of the military, great law enforcement person, somebody that's won many, many elections in the state of Arizona. But I wanted to look at some of the other people that were pardoned over the years.
Right, and as if what other presidents have done makes that okay, huh, Trump? And more shakeups at the Trump White House. Sebastian Gorka is out. Another sign that a massive purge is taking place at the White House. More news on this at the end of the program. Attorney General and angry Keebler elf Jeff Sessions announced the Trump administration will be lifting a ban on selling militarized weapons to local law enforcement. This will be a reversal on a 2015 Obama executive order. More police using military-grade weapons and tanks on civilians? I mean, what could go wrong, right?
President Trump this day is issuing an executive order that will make it easier to protect yourselves and your communities. And it's a top priority of Chuck and your leaders. He is rescinding restrictions from the prior administration that limited your agency's ability to get equipment through federal programs, including life-saving gear.
Hurricane Harvey hits Texas hard, leaving 500,000 affected and at least 30,000 without homes. Best of luck to anyone in Texas currently dealing with the flooding. Hopefully the rains will let up soon. And on this day in rock history, August 29th, 1991, DJ Kurt St. Thomas from WFNX, a radio station located in Boston, Massachusetts, gave Nirvana's album Nevermind its world debut Interview, and they played the album in its entirety from start to finish, essentially launching a new band and an entire new genre of music. And that's the news of the week! This week's featured artist is Trapdoor Social, and if you're a long-time listener of the Punk Rock and Politics podcast, you may recognize the name of that band, because we interviewed Skylar Funk, the lead singer and guitarist, back in February of this year. But this episode will be focusing on his music festival taking place in downtown LA, and it's called Sunstock, and it will be on September 9th, 2017, which is about a week from now. Sunstock is a 100% solar-powered music festival. It will feature bands, speakers, and workshops promoting activism. I mean, how cool is that? This year will be the second annual Sunstock Solar Music Festival, and I was lucky enough to talk to Skylar, the festival's co-founder, about Sunstock and what people should expect if they attend the event. But before we get to the interview, let's check out one of his songs. Here's Away by Trapdoor Social. And that was Away by Trapdoor Social. And I have Skylar Funk here from the band. He is here with us again because he was here with us before on episode 8. So what's up, Skylar? And welcome.
Hey, Michael, thanks for having me back, man.
Yeah, I was going to say welcome back, dude, to the Punk Rock and Politics podcast. And this one, there's no glitches. We're going to be smooth so we could hear Skylar's beautiful voice throughout the entire interview.
No problem.
Yeah. So last time we talked to you, like I said, it was from episode 8, which was basically all the way back in February. So I'm sure like a lot has happened with you and the band. So do you want to give us a little update?
Sure. Wow, gosh, that was actually 6 months ago now.
Yeah.
Which is hard to believe, but I believe it. I mean, let's see, February, March, April, we toured. A bit of May and most of June we toured. We really did kind of a few laps around the U.S. and really kind of pushed hard to get out there and to we made some new friends and, kind of just developed those relationships as much as we could and took the opportunities that we could. And sometimes you're out there on the road and it just feels glorious and these things work out super great. And sometimes you're taking really long shots. We drove straight from LA to New York to play a show and in June. And, that happened to be a really good one, but you never know.
That's quite a risk right there.
Yeah. A lot on the line, but I'd say it was pretty good. It was a good spring, and the boys and I are now finally back in LA for a bit. We just have started on a new album.
Oh, nice.
We've been in the studio, and we've got 2 tracks started and a lot more to come. I think we all had a good time on the road, but I think we're all ready to have new music and, to do something
new,
together,
kind of change it up a little bit. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's part of the aspect of being in the band. You have the live shows, and then you have the recording and writing aspect. So you don't want to just do too much of one thing. You kind of get burnt out. You got to go back and forth, and
that's true. There really is a cycle. Like you can. I mean, I'm sure if we had some huge chart-topping hit, we could probably tour for longer, but you can't tour forever on anything,
And then, but even then, you're good. Eventually, you'll get sick of playing that one song, and and then you'll have people showing up just to hear that one song, which is cool. But you're like, you have more
if the
stuff.
People aren't sick of it yet. Yeah, you can definitely get sick of.
Oh yeah, no, if you have a chart-topping hit, you could probably play that shit into your 80s and people will still show up, forever. Yeah. So, I don't think people really get sick of trendy music and stuff. So that's cool. You guys are putting out some new music. Did you guys write on the road? Because I know a lot of time like bands, they kind of get ideas while they're on the road and touring. Or are you the kind of band that goes back and just sits in a studio and busts out some songs?
We definitely do write on the road. It's the kind of thing, that for better or for worse, you can't really control the flow of inspiration or creativity. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it comes to you, at random periodical intervals. And
like 3 a.m. in the morning.
Writing, but at the same time, we kind of have approached this album a little differently where especially my the co-founder of the band, Merritt, kind of saved. I think he saved some of the process for the band to do together. Like he would write, fragments of songs, but he kind of wanted to bring it to the guys to help assemble it and kind of have the group be involved. Like we really do more and more as a group and kind of democratically. And so I think. He approached it a little differently. I did that to a degree, but of course, I still finish songs sometimes, and
I think that's so cool being able to look at it as a process, as a band, as creating music together, because then, you know, he'll come in with some riffs and some vocal melodies and lyrics, and then someone else will add the bass riff, and then someone else will add this guitar solo, and then it all kind of comes together, and then everyone has a ownership over that song, and then when they play it, you know, they're like, oh, I kind of own this song, you know. It makes you like, it's like your child, you're proud of it, you know, rather than, oh, they told me what to play and I get on stage and play that. You know? So I think that's, and you could tell, man, when you see musicians playing on stage when they like are really into a song they're playing. You could tell as a fan. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, definitely passion in a good performance has to have it, and
definitely
we want to set ourselves up for that. You know, we could tour forever on this and just be burnt out and keep pushing it, but we want to be inspired and we want to all be excited about what we're doing.
Definitely. Yeah, we definitely want to hear some new music. But back to you guys touring and playing, you guys do play a bunch and do a lot of stuff, like put on festivals, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's play one more song and then we'll get into the political mosh pit. So here's Sunshine by Trapdoor Social.
Your silhouette tonight, everywhere I turn. I know that I am haunted, but hold on to the curse. Jumping through the screen tonight, take you in my hands. It's everything I wanted, nothing I can stand. I can't go back because I've seen the way the sun can fall down. Gotta fill it up with sunshine. You gotta make up your mind. Get on with your life. You gotta fill it up with sunshine. You gotta make up your mind. Get on with your life. I see you in the crowd tonight, blood pools in my head. I should feel much closer now, but the distance grows instead. Your words are like a symphony, reaching for my soul. A melody that turns and soars and always leaves me cold. I can't go back because I've seen a glimpse of what the world could be. You gotta fill it up with sunshine. You gotta make up your mind. Get on with your life. You gotta fill it up with sunshine. You gotta make up your mind. Get on with your life. Get on with your life. Get on with your life. Get on with your life.
And that was Sunshine by Trapdoor Social. So let's get into the political mosh pit. And so speaking of Sunshine, I know you're Skylar, I think you are like the founder of this this festival, Sunstock Solar Festival. It's coming up on September 9th, and it's been going on for how many years? And then tell us about the festival.
This is just the second year.
Okay.
Sunstock came out last year. Merritt and I basically created it together.
Okay, cool.
He's backed me up and supported me on it all the way, which is amazing. And so it started last year. We started with 2,500 people in a park in north of downtown LA, and it's all solar powered. We get a bunch of local bands, food trucks, and local nonprofit. A lot of the grassroots organizers. The event is really about the environmental movement, and so one of the big features is these grassroots organizers that I've known some of from volunteering for the last few years in that movement, and so we kind of just try to get everybody in one place for a day of fun in the sun and some solar powered art and music and lights after the sun goes down. We got all these batteries that are charged up, and we get all these lights fired up, and just try to show people that solar power is ready to rock, and try to inspire with that art and with that music, and have people go, oh wow, this is all solar powered, and just try to support the movement in that way. And so yeah, very exciting. We're just 3 weeks out today as we record this, so very excited to be on the home stretch and finish putting this together.
Yeah, there's a lot to put together, like just a show, let alone a festival. And I saw that you said you had art there, and then also speakers. So do you have, are they going to be giving on in workshops? How do the speakers and workshops, how is that going to be facilitated into the festival?
We actually are adding this year a speaker tent, a separate area, separate sound system, for various workshops and speakers that we've been curating. A few are lined up and a few are still to come, but basically we decided to give them their own space because last year we had the one music stage and something that you can do between bands. There's always a changeover that's got to happen, and you can normally stick people on to speak between bands, but what we've actually decided to do with Sunstock this year is set up a second stage for music side by side, and they're going to alternate, and
so like Warped Tour style, kind of.
Right. No
nice,
gap,
nice. Wow. And then you'll have the separate speaker stage, so it'll be isolated and okay.
That's right. And without any time to kill between the bands, basically
you could get more bands to play.
Sure,
right?
more bands to play, and then at that point you just need a separate stage for speakers, and we want to have speakers. So
yes,
we're just getting all three of those kind of happening side by side.
Cool. So I know it's it's Sunstock. It's really, and the whole thing is it's powered by solar power, or like all of it,
right.
The instruments, everything.
Yep.
So, but are the workshops and are the speakers? Are they all focused on solar power, or are they focused on like other issues that are related to that, or what's the main focus?
They're all pretty tangentially related, if not directly. There are a few. I mean, it's a really good platform for our partners, some of these nonprofits who want to do more than just show up and set up a table and talk to people. We can get some of these guys in, to actually give an instructive, a activist training session or something like that. A few of the other people that we have lined up are Larry Copald from the Carbon Underground, which is an interesting thing about sequestering carbon. There is a actress and activist named Frances Fisher who's lined up to come speak, and Louis Schwartzberg, who's an environmental film director and cinematographer who I am led to understand basically revolutionized the nature kind of the genre of nature video shooting. Like a lot of the was a really influential videographer in that genre. So it's not all just about solar power. It's kind of sustainability themed and a few different topics in that space.
Yeah, well, and I think solar power is kind of almost a branch off of, the sustainability movement, so much. So, if you're going to have something, a solar power festival, it's definitely going to connect to the world of, reducing your carbon footprint, and, there's going to be all sorts of other ideas attached to that. But then there's also a bunch of awesome bands playing. I mean, Trapdoor Social is going to be playing, which is awesome. But also I saw Rah Rah Riot is going to be playing, which is like pretty cool. Like I really dig that band. That's awesome.
Good. I'm pumped for them as well. Been listening a little bit and definitely psyched to see them play. We've got Robert DeLong as well, who's kind of an amazing one-man act. We've got Run River North, another super cool alternative band. Wild Cub is coming. Chris Whitehall, the lead singer of the Griswolds, is going to be singing. Bunch of cool local bands, a couple of my buddies' bands, like a few really awesome local indie and alternative bands are playing. So
nice.
We're super stoked.
Yeah, nice. I think I'm probably gonna have to make the drive up there because it's in LA, right?
Yeah, downtown LA.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I think I might make the drive up there and go and walk around with my mic and interview some people and stuff, and then we could finally meet in person. Yeah, and then I could record Trapdoor Social, play live and everything. But yeah, I think I'm going to, and then I could talk to a lot of the people up there, a lot of your speakers. I'm sure they would have a lot of good information that a lot of our listeners would really like to hear.
Love to have you there, man. And I'm actually getting your name on the guest list as we speak.
Nice. And I have I got a little mic flag, with the logo and everything. So I'm getting all fancy. So, because cool. Since our last interview, I'm like meticulous on getting good equipment that's not gonna haywire, go crazy. Nice. So, but we'll
come do some mobile interviews. That's a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. I'll get the live stream going on, and yeah. So anyone in the LA area or San Diego area, like SoCal, go on, or if you're out of town or out of country, on the Facebook Punk Rock and Politics Facebook page, I'll be doing interviews and posting a lot of stuff, because I definitely think this is a really, really cool festival. I think it needs as much support as we can give it. Or even if you're not in the area, go online, check them out, spread the word, promote them as much as you can, because it's we all have to support each other, and this is a really good festival for a good cause.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.
Definitely. Well, hey, you got me on the guest list, so I had to say something nice about you.
$25
Right. Oh man. Yeah, dude. So, but I can't let you go until we talk a little politics here. So with the whole administration going on now, we really saw what's going to happen, because when we first talked in February, I believe it was, no one really knew what Trump was going to do. I don't even think Trump knew what he was going to do. But now we can kind of see, with his energy secretary and, Jeff Sessions, and you could really see his cabinet forming up. And then also one other thing I don't know if you know about, but recently Jeff Sessions, they are acquiring 1.3 million IP addresses from all these activists who went, or anyone who went to this activist website that was organizing Trump anti-Trump rallies for Inauguration Day. And that just came out. So we're really seeing this crazy just administration forming. So what have you noticed that's freaked you out the most about the administration over the past 6 months?
I mean, there's a few currents in the current American political landscape that are terrifying. That is a lack of privacy that he's doing that is terrifying. The stuff with net neutrality that's coming around is terrifying. The stuff that hits a little closer to home for me is appointing a head of the EPA fresh out of running one of the biggest oil industry giants. Like, obviously his intention is to tear apart a governing body that actually functions to help protect our future.
Scott Pruitt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you have Tillerson, Rex Tillerson, so which I believe last time we talked he was Secretary of State, but he's the old CEO from ExxonMobil. And then
that's right.
Yeah, Pruitt, he actually was, I think, Attorney General of Oklahoma, and he didn't do anything about the fracking. So that's another,
right.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, you're right. You just nailed it on the head. They're getting in there to dismantle the organization. And then when it breaks and falls apart, they point at it and say, look, government doesn't work.
Yeah,
right?
It's a mess.
Yeah.
And, honestly, I may have mentioned this last time, but coming out of Sunstock last year was like so exhausted. Organizing a festival, basically took 7 months, was such like a bear, such a different lifestyle and such a different thing that I ever had to do. I was really burnt out, and I was really on the fence as to whether it was something that I would want to do every year or do again. And since Trump being elected and, starting to conduct his, do what he can do to dismantle our environmental protections, I just, we were inspired to get back on and make this happen again. This is what we can do to help. And this is what we believe in. So
yeah, it's almost crazy. I was having a conversation earlier with someone else earlier in the day about how Trump has created so many activists. It's almost kind of like it's almost a good thing, a good thing coming out of a bad thing in a way. I hate to even say that, but you have to, because like you said, we're keeping that going. And what else can we do other than these small activist events?
And I totally thought that way going into it. I think there might be some truth to it. I remember the moment he was elected, obviously I was upset, but I realized that, had Hillary been elected, it would have been really easy to kind of lay back. I mean, the whole time that we had Obama,
exactly,
and say I had voted for him as like a 20-year-old, and I just thought he was my guy. Like he was gonna, take care of business. And I think both those guys are such establishment Democrats. Like it's really, they can try, but they're, at the end of the day, taking money from and letting our corporations run the show, and these fossil fuel industries are making way too much money and putting way too much money back into the system to really let a president do what they need to do. And so I actually started seeing this as a wake-up call, as a necessary wake-up call, something that we wouldn't have had if Hillary got elected. And something that I crossed my fingers would be a net positive for the grassroots movement and for, actual action. And I don't know. I mean, since then, sure, there's been a lot going on, a lot of action, a lot of activism, but I can't tell, I always hear about like the 60s and these popular movements, and I can't tell if this is a major change. I can't tell if there's a real boost in the movement from it.
Yeah, I know.
Wish it was more.
Yeah. I mean, exactly what you're saying. I agree 100%, and people always misconstrue when I say this. I totally support people going out protesting. But if that's all you're going to do, it's like you might as well just vote. It's not going to accomplish much. You have to vote with your dollar, what you buy. If you drive if you're driving to a protest that's an anti-oil protest and you're buying gas along the way, it's, you have to do something else to offsuit that if that's the only transportation, or try to do a carpool, try to take the train if you can. I know that's really hard because our system is set up in the exact opposite way. So I don't want to demonize anything because I have a car. I use my car all the time. Yeah, living in Southern California, it's almost impossible not to have a car living with public transportation. So we have to fix the system from the grassroots up, and that's what this festival is. And so that's awesome, and I'm really glad to hear that you're keeping it going, because it's exhausting trying to put everything together. But we definitely need stuff like this more than ever, because what if some kid goes to that show just wanting to see one of the bands, but then they happen to stumble into the speaker tent and they hear something that just changes their lifestyle forever. That's huge.
That's what we hope for. That's the dream right there.
Exactly. That's and that's the beauty of activism and politics. And I think activism and politics and conversations about world events has been painted in such an old person, or a boring light, or no one wants to do that, or activism is just going out and breaking windows, or going out and protesting, or going out and getting people to sign. You've worked on Greenpeace, asking people to sign things all day long and getting 100 no's, maybe one yes. Right. People think that's activism, but really activism, the biggest activism, and I'm sure you'll agree, is what you buy and how you spend your money, really.
Well, that definitely
it's a big component.
Definitely something. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a little of everything.
You're right. Exactly.
All that stuff counts, for sure.
But we got to make it appealing and fun and get people to understand that, I guess sometimes going out and doing a lot of canvassing isn't the most exciting thing to do, but it's for a good cause. Also, we have events like this, which is fun, and we're making it appealing and branching out to more people. Does that make more sense? Kind of.
Yeah, dude, this is what we're trying to do, and I think what Sunstock is about is creating this opportunity for people to be activists, in part just by coming out, because not only is it it's solar powered, and our partners are there and looking for people to work with and people to join their cause, but even just by buying a ticket, the festival is nonprofit, and any money that we make goes to a solar install for a safe place for youth, which is a homeless teen shelter on the west side of LA.
Nice.
And so any money that we once we break even, everything goes to this project, installing solar to help just someone in our community do good work, and not just give them the money, but give them the solar, which will save them money for basically forever. You're constantly paying, eventually it pays for itself, but if someone installs it, then you're instantly saving money, which is amazing. And homelessness, I don't think anyone across America, unless if you have family, friends, or you visited Southern California, or San Francisco is really bad also. But the homelessness problem here in Southern California and San Diego, LA, San Francisco, it's so horrible. And our politicians, both sides, are doing very little to address the situation. Yeah. And we can have a whole nother podcast on homelessness, I'm sure. We won't go down that road. But I think I didn't even know that, I knew you were a nonprofit, but I didn't know that's what the money was going to. So, dude, that's awesome, and that's another really important issue that we need to address. Thank you, man. We'll have that info up on the website. The
Sunstock website.
Yep. Cool. SunstockSolarFestival.com. You can get tickets. You can watch our a little promo video just trying to capture the spirit of the thing, and the lineup poster and any information that you need. It's all up there.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the best way to find information? One more time for the website?
SunstockSolarFestival.com. And basically everything is up there. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Sunstock Soul Fest. And those links are on the website as well, sunstocksolarfestival.com. We'd love to hear from volunteers or anybody who's interested in getting involved in any way. Just
nice.
Please reach out.
And it's September 9th, so coming up in about a little over a week when this episode will air.
Gotcha.
And
9/9.
Yeah, 9/9, and I'll be there. And if you can't make it out, go to the Punk Rock and Politics Facebook page, and we'll be streaming it. And you could ask me questions, and I can go harass Skylar with your questions and all sorts of stuff. It'll be fun times.
I can't wait to meet you in person.
Yeah, dude, I know. I'm looking forward to it, man. And but also, well, there's a bunch of awesome bands playing. But one of my favorite that's going to be playing is Trapdoor Social, so which is Skylar's band. But quick before I let you go and everything, what is the best way for people to find Trapdoor Social, your band's music online?
We are at trapdoorsocial.com, at Trapdoor Social on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We are on iTunes and Spotify and YouTube. We picked a name that nobody had so that we would be easy to find.
Dude, you have no idea how smart that is, because I've gotten emails from bands and I searched the name and I'm like, oh, I like this song. They're like, oh, that's not us. I'm like, oh. Yeah, I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm like, you guys are so good. You guys are so good. You need a special name. I think, side note on that, every band, if you're going to start a band, the name is like so important. You have to have a unique name or something that, people are going to remember you by. So, yeah, it really does. Well, the music's got to be good, but yeah, definitely the name's all right. So, we're going to play one more song. It's Along by Trapdoor Social, but before we play it, I heard you said that you have a cool little story about that song.
Yeah, so Play Along is basically about creating the reality that you choose by starting with a dream, something maybe that seems impossible, and just taking steps towards it as if it's reality, just by saying, okay, if this were possible, I would achieve it by doing this and this, and just taking those steps forward and until it's done. Every time that someone has done something for the first time, I think that's probably how they do it. And sometimes things just seem too crazy, but we can create the reality that we want by just taking steps towards it every day. And by you play along, you pretend that we could be the ones to break the mold and just making it happen.
Yeah. And I think that's good advice in any aspect of any part of your life, whether it's, politics, current events, or your family or your friends or your job and career. Gotta pursue what you love. If we all do what we love, and I can see world peace. I'll vision it. I could see it. That's my manifestation. Yeah, let's do it, dude. And don't forget, Sunstock is on 9/9, September 9th, and we'll have an episode for that and everything. And thanks so much, dude, Skylar, for coming on Punk Rock and Politics podcast.
Michael, my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Definitely. I'll see you soon. And here is Play Along by Trapdoor Social.
This is the hope that you hold back when you need to get it on track, and you're feeling for the feedback until you're reeling from the relapse. You get loaded till you just ignore every feeling that you had before, but you're believing that there's something more. Play along, pretend that we could be the ones who break the mold. We'll stay so strong, all our violence can You're dreaming with your cold hands. We're gonna hold you till you come back home. Maybe this beat will move your sleeping bones. You'll be the reason that we keep on going. We keep on going on and play along. Pretend that we could be the ones who break the mold. We'll stay so strong. All our violence can't defeat our beating hearts. When they're gone, you and me will completely rewrite these laws. We'll change them all. Let's change it all. Play along, play along. Floating away with our hearts and our eyes closed. We're floating away with our eyes and our minds turning on. Floating away with our hearts and our eyes closed. We're heavy enough just to crash through this cycle of love. Play along, pretend that we could be the ones who break the mold. We'll stay so strong. All our violence can't defeat our beating hearts. When they're gone, you and me will completely rewrite these laws. We'll change them all. Let's change it all. Play along, play along.
All right, let's give it up for Trapdoor Social and Skylar Funk for coming on the political mosh pit. And I'm really looking forward to the Sunstock, the solar music festival, that we were talking about. I mean, this thing is like 100% powered by solar power. And I'm pretty sure last podcast we were talking, he said that they actually had like a charging station so you could charge your phone, and that's all solar panel powered. And then they also had lights and everything at night. So I'm like, dude, that's so awesome. So I'm totally looking forward to this show. And I mean, there's so many great musicians and bands that are going to be playing. It's going to be rad. I'm going to live stream the show from there, and then also live stream a lot of the speakers and also go ask them questions. So if you are not following or liked the Facebook Punk Rock and Politics podcast page, you should go do that, because on 9/9, if you're not in the LA area or Southern California area, not able to drive out to Sunstock and actually go to the show, definitely hop online anytime in the day on the Facebook page, and I'll be doing like live videos. And then it's fun when you do the live videos, because you can have it be really interactive. It's not like when I do this, I feel it's very just one way. And if anything that I do want to improve and start doing more in the podcast is have listener interaction. I want to have the listeners say what they like, what they don't like, what they want to hear more of. I would like that. I think that would be really awesome to integrate that into the podcast. So it's going to be fun, and if you are in the area, please come out, and it'd be really cool to meet any of the other fellow bands who listen to the podcast, or any of the fans who actually listen to this podcast, the 30 people who listen to this podcast. But all right, well, hey, thanks so much for checking out Punk Rock and Politics and making it all the way to the end of the show, because now we are here, open mics, last call, and oh man, this White House is just insane, everything that's going on. So Bannon is gone, and now Gorka is gone. And it's really interesting. I kind of did a little bit of show prep and when I did some research. So, okay, Bannon and Gorka, they both came from like Breitbart News. Bannon was like a conservative media type before Breitbart News, and he used to do crazy right-wing like videos, super cheesy with like horrible graphics, and it was like, oh, America's being overrun by immigrants and refugees, and now that's kind of the same thing that Gorka is or has been saying, and he couldn't even get cleared for a national security clearance, Gorka. So, I mean, it's crazy that Trump was put these two into his cabinet to begin with. But here's the thing. These guys, they speak the language of the base. They talk in Pepe memes, pretty much. So Trump had them around really to capitalize on his base. And now that you have McMaster and John Kelly coming in, it really is, from what it sounds like, there's a few reasons why Bannon was pushed out, and he didn't resign. He was definitely pushed out. The biggest one is Bannon was on Time magazine cover, and everyone was saying Bannon is Trump's brain, and it really goes to show how Trump's ego, his ego gets bruised so easy. If you say, oh, Steve Bannon is Trump's puppet master, Trump, that really pisses him off. And then, Trump has a thing with Time magazine covers. He's so obsessed with Time magazine. And Bannon was on the Time cover, the magazine cover recently, a few months ago or weeks ago. And, and it kind of pissed Trump off. And then also, so that's one thing. Another thing is the leaks. A lot of these leaks coming out of the White House, every week or even every day at sometimes there's been all these leaks. And I mean, I don't know why Bannon would be doing these leaks, and a lot of the leaks that have been coming out, I don't think Bannon would be leaking those, but apparently the word, in the beltway is that Bannon has been leaking information because he's not really happy with what Trump is doing. So he's kind of doing that to try to sway Trump. And Trump's pissed about the leaks. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Trump's pissed about the leaks. So between those two, and then now with John Kelly coming in, and then also with a lot of this neo-Nazi white supremacist stuff, cloud hanging over Gorka and Bannon, because a lot of their past comments, and then Bannon was a editor at Breitbart News, and a lot of the things that were published while he was chief editor weren't the best things, let's say, weren't the best type of articles. So, whether he did see those and approve on them, or they just kind of passed through, who knows? But, if you're working at a publication like Breitbart, you're either really, really, really desperate, or you're kind of scummy. So, but he was a chief editor. He lives in this. He's making those videos. I mean, this is how he is. So Bannon's out, Gorka's out. Gorka's basically the same. He's Sebastian Gorka. He calls himself a doctor, but they're not really sure where he got his doctorate from. He's very, very anti-immigrant and very anti-Islamic, and he actually claims to be an Islamic expert on on Islam and the Islamic faith and the Arabic region, but he doesn't speak any language. He doesn't speak Arabic, Farsi, anything, and he's never lived in that area. And in his college degree, like everyone says, is kind of, it's not really the most solid college that he went to. So his certifications are really, really thin. And like I said earlier, he couldn't even pass a national security clearance. So the fact that he's out really shows that Trump is kind of purging a lot of this right-wing, quote-unquote alt-right veil. He's shedding the Pepe meme from him, and Trump is basically turning into the George Bush neoconservative type, because you have people like H.R. McMaster, and you have people like John Kelly, who are surrounding Trump, and these people are total neocons, very pro-war. And so and you see this new shift of neocon, pro-war and likes to have free trade. Trump is he's changing his tune. Now, when one of the key things that just happened is the Afghanistan troop increase, which is right there, that's 100% neocon, which this whole time on Trump's campaign, which that's one thing I did agree with him, is he wanted to wrap up the Afghanistan war. And he would always criticize the Afghanistan war, criticize the Iraq war, criticize nation building. But now that's kind of what he's promoting, and he's promoting more wars. He's totally did a 180 in that area, and it's because he's been surrounding himself with, John Kelly and generals and H.R. McMaster. And these people have his ear, and now Bannon and, in Gorka and the Bannonites of the cabinet are being purged out. So I don't know so much if there's a riff, but I do think that it, like I said, it's being purged out, and Trump is going to be taking a hard right, not necessarily a hard alt-right, but a hard centrist right to the neoconservatives. This means more war, more free trade. He's probably going to do more troop increases. So a lot of this stuff that he's going to do is going to really piss off his base, but it's going to make the establishment or the deep state or whatever you want to call it, the military-industrial complex, is going to make them very happy. All these people who've been waging war, other than the media, I don't think you could ever make the media happy, but a lot of these people who've been waging war on him with the leaks and the military-industrial complex have been totally just waging this covert war on Trump every day with the media as their tool attacking him. So I think that's going to really calm down, and I think his neoconservatism is going to come out. And the one big thing that's going to we'll see what happens is the wall. He's been saying he's going to build the wall and Congress is going to pay for it. And Trump said he'll shut Congress down if shut the debt ceiling down and shut down the government if Congress doesn't pay for the wall. Mexico's not going to pay for it anymore. So let's see, because I'm sure people like John Kelly, H.R. McMaster, and a lot of these neoconservatives, especially like Pence, they're kind of like, whatever. They understand the cheap labor that's coming up from the border, and they understand that a border wall isn't going to deter that many people. And it's not even going to, a lot of the people who are here, who are quote unquote illegal immigrants, came here and overstayed their visa. So what, are you going to build a wall, around their houses? That doesn't even make sense, because they're already in America, then their visa expires, now they're legal. So the wall didn't even work. They came here on an airplane. So Trump is doing and going through a change, and we're going to see how he comes out. And I think it's going to be interesting, because I think he's really going to be pissing off his base coming up and doing a lot of neoconservative free trade moves. He's going to be doing a lot more troop buildup, a lot more military-industrial complex favoring more war. So let's see what's right around the corner, because it's looking like Trump just went full neocon. And, once they go neocon, they probably won't go back. So, we'll see about that. But, all right, let's wrap this up. And about the podcast, next week, there might not be an episode. I'm going to be out in New York City, so I'm going to take a lot of pictures and be out there. I might interview a band out in New York, or just interview some random people. I'm going to go to Strawberry Fields Forever, where John Lennon was shot, and I'm going to go see the memorial. So maybe I could talk to some people and put a little quick podcast together. So it's going to be exciting, but there might not be a podcast next week, so do not worry, my friends. If there's not a podcast, I was not abducted by the government, and I am okay. And there'll be a podcast the following week, which will be me at Sunstock. So don't forget, make it out to Sunstock on September 9th, coming up in LA. Go check it out at the links. Just Google Sunstock LA, and it comes up right there. And go out there, or check out the Facebook page, Punk Rock and Politics Facebook page, and we'll have live streaming and a lot of interviews and a lot of cool, rad music from the show there. So this took way longer than I was planning on doing, so let's wrap it up, and I'll check you out next week, or maybe the week after. Peace out. Thanks for checking out Punk Rock and Politics. If you enjoyed the show and the information brought to you, please subscribe and share the podcast. It helps us here at Punk Rock and Politics, but more importantly, it helps the featured bands gain exposure. Also, if you know any bands or musicians who would like to join the political mosh pit and have their music featured on the Punk Rock and Politics podcast, please email us at punkrockandpolitics@gmail.com. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. And rock on, political junkies.
I think all our society is run by insane people for insane objectives.
Doing a better job of talking to each other. The left hand now knows what the right hand is doing.
Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee it.